Hey everybody, Reverend Jim Keat here, Word Made Fresh, the show where we talk about upcoming narrative lectionary passages and how you might explore these for Bible study sermons and whatnot, and how they're going to maybe land at Riverside this Sunday. Now, I say maybe because normally we get to talk with the Sunday's preacher, which this Sunday is Reverend Thorne, only our schedules kind of were not quite lining up. So, it's just me. We're going to have a good time. We're going to chat for a little bit, and this will be a nice little mini episode, and then you can just join us on Sunday for Bible study, worship. We're going to dive in more. So we are in the book of Luke, which if you've been with us on this series this year, you know that's not a surprise because we've been in Luke since January. Luke chapter 16, verses 19 to 31 is where we are this coming Sunday, and Jesus is telling a story. We got all sorts of good stories from Jesus. Last week was a great story with the three little trilogies of lost, the sheep, coin, and then the two brothers, often known as prodigal son. You know, we dove into that last time. And this week we get Jesus telling a story about money. Yeah, there's a lot to it. There's a rich man and there's this poor individual named Lazarus. And they interact together. And the rich man is rich with all the things. He's, the 1%, the one who's profiting off of pandemics and elections and all those things. You can fill in the blank with your least favorite oligarch billionaire right here. There's way too many to choose from. And then there's this individual who is on the other end of the income extreme. The poverty gap is wide now, and it was wide then. And this character, Jesus names him Lazarus. You might be thinking, is this the Lazarus that Jesus rose from the dead? No, that was John. This is Luke. Two different narratives, two different agendas, two different, trajectories. Lazarus is simply a word that means God is with me. Is that what it means? Hold on. I had this figured out. I almost had all my... God has helped. That's what Lazarus means. So the name is fitting for the story because here is a character who is asking for help from this wealthy man who is unnamed. And then Lazarus, God has helped, does not receive help from the rich man. And it says that the beggar named Lazarus was covered with sores and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. Ooh. So he's getting no comfort from this rich man. The dogs, at least, will give him some comfort, and he's just wanting a scrap. The dogs are probably fighting for those scraps, too. So, time comes, that's the story. The beggar dies, is taken up to heaven, and goes to Abraham. So basically, we're given a scenario here. Jesus isn't painting a picture of this is what happens when you die. He's using this kind of dichotomy of with Abraham and then with suffering to kind of just give an illustration, really to give a reversal of what the situation was prior to these characters' deaths. So the beggar dies, Lazarus dies, he goes to a nice cozy place, the good place, and then the rich man dies and he goes to where there is suffering. What does it say? He says, in Hades, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side, so he called to him. This is the rich man calling, "Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue because I am in agony in this fire." And Abraham's like, "Sorry, dude, I can't do it. You had your chance. You did not help him. We can't help you now." So there's a lot going on here. And you can easily spiritualize this into going to heaven or hell and turning it into that sort of afterlife scenario. If we do that, I think we're missing the point because all throughout the book of Luke, Luke has been giving us this thread of money and talking about the wealthy and those with a lot of excess wealth. We saw it back in the beginning of the book when Mary, Jesus' mom, first sang a song, the Magnificat, where she talked about the rich being made low, this great reversal of those who had all the privilege and power and means and money being flipped. So those who were on the underside of that power suddenly are privileged by God. That's still a good anthem today. That's the Christmas message, by the way. That's Advent. Then we get all throughout the book stories like this. In a couple chapters, we're going to get a rich young man coming up to Jesus saying, "What do I got to do to inherit eternal life?" Inherit, interesting word for a rich person to say who probably inherited his money. Interesting, these people who inherit their money and think that they are self-made millionaires. No, you're not. You were just given a check. So he asks what to do to inherit eternal life. And Jesus says, "Sell all you have and give it to the poor." And the guy's like, "Oh, that I don't know if I can do. I can do anything, but I can't do that." So there's this literal dealing with money happening in this book. And now this story about a rich ruler and this poor beggar. And Jesus is like, All right, the wealthy think they can, create heaven on earth, but really they're just getting ready to deepen their own suffering. And what does it mean to find moments of peace and love and heaven in the midst of dire circumstances? And could it be that we're waiting for this great reversal when God will continue to be with and bless those who are on the underside of power and privilege? Oh, and Luke keeps going, because Luke turns into Acts. They're kind of a pair, Luke and Acts, that thought is that the same author wrote the two. You can read them kind of as a part one, part two. And in the book of Acts, spoiler alert, the followers of Jesus starting this little experiment called the church. Maybe you've heard of that. And one of their first kind of endeavors in the church is to share what they have with anyone in need. What a concept! Giving away your thing so someone who needs it can have it. Mother Teresa once said, if you have two coats, you have stolen one. Ooh. Now, it's easy to read a story like this back to Luke 16, where we are today, and just think, yeah, those rich oligarchs, they need to tax the rich. Yeah. Those people who have way too much, they need to help fund those who don't have anything. Yeah, that's all legitimate. We should be talking about, anyone in that billion-dollar category, let alone tens of billions. So if you're a Bezos or a Musk or a Zuckerberg, you might have something to say here, or this might have something to say to you, really is what we're talking about. But we're all kind of on the hook. If you're watching this video, you have some sort of a device that gives you the ability to even connect to the internet. You have some means and access and a financial level of security. Yeah, I'm not saying there's no stress in your life. Come on. But I'm saying when it comes to a global scale of things, most Americans are not on the bottom of the global humanity pile. Most, not saying all. So how do we, even with whatever middle class life, lower class life, whatever spectrum we find ourselves in, how are we confronted by a story like this that challenges those who have and those who have not? How can we be intentional about being aware of and sharing with and meeting the needs of everyone around us? Okay, there's a lot here. This is just really a very short, simple glance at this story, and I don't even know if Reverend Thorne's going to go there. I would have a hunch she might bring up some people with lots of money. So if anyone has the way to forward this video on to Jeff or Elon or Mark, do so, or Donald. He claims to have lots of money, or just all the other people. Let's not put like Oprah and Beyonce off the hook either. Anyone with that millions and billions of dollars. How many houses do you really need? If you have two coats, you've stolen one. What about if you have multiple houses? Whew. Okay, so there's a lot going on. Read the text, Luke chapter 16, verses 19 to 31. Join us on Sunday at Riverside. We have Bible study at 9:30 a.m. You can get to the building and join a class in the building. You can join me on Zoom. All that information is on our website, trcnyc.org. Worship starts at 11, special music at 10:30, so enjoy some carol on an organ, and then things get rolling. Reverend Thorne will be in the pulpit. We'll have a sermon talk back on Zoom for anyone online after the service. You can stick around for virtual coffee hour, and then we're going to keep going. We are turning the page to April soon, which means we are coming up on Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday, so I think you might know where the story's going. We do it every year. It's going to be good. But join us for all of these things and more. And also we're like halfway through the book of Psalms in Bible in a Minute. Have you been following that? Can you believe it? Amazing. 150 Psalms, and we're halfway through them. It's been a lot of Psalms. Okay, that's all for now. I will see you on the next one with, I think, Reverend Thornton. I think so. Okay, bye.